It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce our speaker, Kimberly Hazelgrove, U.S. Army veteran, life member of VFW Post number 1662, Department of Ohio, and Gold Star surviving spouse. Kimberly, please go.
Good morning, everybody. It's my honor to be here today. Distinguished guests, members of the Veterans of Foreign Wars and its auxiliary, fellow veterans, and Gold Star families and military surviving families. It is truly humbling to stand before you today, not just as an Operation Enduring Freedom Army veteran, but also as a Gold Star spouse and a member of this incredible VFW family. I am grateful to have two of my family members with me here today, our youngest daughter, Caitlin Hazelgrove, and my father-in-law, Ronald Hazelgrove, an Army Vietnam veteran. Our story is not just about loss, but about all the reasons that we gather here today: love, service, sacrifice, and remembrance. Our fallen hero is Chief Warrant Officer Brian David Hazelgrove. Born and raised in Edinburgh, Indiana, he entered the U.S. Army right after high school and began his military career in military intelligence as a 96 Romeo ground surveillance systems operator. His tours included the 101st Airborne Division and 2 tours to the Republic of Korea, where we were married at the end of that second tour. Determined and always striving to grow both professionally and personally, he applied to Warrant Officer Candidate School and pursued aviation studies at Austin Peay State University and Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. After earning his pilot wings, he was assigned to 10th Mountain Division, Fort Drum, New York, flying the Kiowa for 317 Cav. Brian was well known for his intelligence, his humor, and his devotion to his family and to his friends. Even as a young man, his military service was a family tradition and one he took great pride in, and he excelled in the Army. Not only did both Brian and I choose careers as active duty soldiers, but the legacy in his family dates back generations and multiple wars. And not just the males, but also the women served. On January 23, 2004, at age 29, he tragically died in a crash in Mosul while flying a mission supporting Operation Iraqi Freedom, along with his co-pilot, Chief Warrant Officer Michael Blaze from the 101st Airborne Division. 2. Both men were 29 years old and on their first tour to Iraq in support of the global war on terror. Both left behind active duty Army spouses, and Michael's wife, Kate, also serving in Iraq, had the difficult task of bringing her husband home. I was not deployed at that time of Brian's death, as we had our young children. The youngest, Caitlin, here today, was only 6 months old. In an instant, our whole world changed. My Army career came to an end after 9.5 years. I was suddenly a widow and a single mother, and the life we were building together was suddenly gone. But that didn't end the losses. They added up. To the Army, Brian was a soldier, a pilot, and a warrior. To me, he was my husband, my partner in every sense, including providing for our family. And to our children, he was their dad and their protector. To his parents, he was a loving, dedicated son. And to his siblings, he was a bratty little brother who grew into an admirable and accomplished young man. He was all of this, and he was so much more. And he gave them all in service to this country. 3, Brian and I served with James Groves and his wife Katie at the 101st. Both Brian and James were on the same track, becoming pilots after successful enlisted careers, and we found ourselves stationed together at the 10th Mountain Division. Brian and James were both assigned to 317 Cav and embarked on that first deployment to support the global war on terrorism. But it was James who brought Brian home to us from Iraq, just a few months after they left home. And it was James who was with us and the rock that held us together in those days through the funeral and checked in on us afterwards. And it was Chief Warrant Officer 3, James Groves, who nearly 10 years later died on March 16, 2013, in Afghanistan and on his 4th deployment. Another family shattered, Katie and their 2 boys, and their parents here today with us had to endure their life without their soldier, who is also so much more. Like many here in this room, I have walked the long, quiet road of grief. Milestone moments where the absence is felt most. The birthdays that are missed, empty chairs at the dinner table, and dreams that are left unfinished. I have also learned that while loss can break you, remembrance can build you back up and provide a purpose. I use the grief and the anger and the disbelief of what I was experiencing during my casualty process and the survivor journey to help others over the years, so maybe their path to walk is a little easier. So today, as we reflect on the price of freedom, let us not do so only with sadness, but with purpose. And let us remember that the men and women who gave the last full measure of devotion, and let us live our lives worthy of theirs. And let us also remember that those who came home and struggled to find peace and healing. I know I speak for so many here today, both family members and veterans, when I say the weight of sacrifice doesn't end on the battlefield, but it follows us all home. No organization understands this more than the VFW. We've committed ourselves not only to honoring those that we've lost in combat, but also in standing beside the men and women that return home to face those new battles, whether from visible wounds or from ones we cannot see. And just as importantly, we stand with the families who care for them. Tragically, we continue to lose too many of our brothers and sisters to illness and to suicide. This is a heartbreaking reality that demands all of us in the room to take action and to remain vigilant. 4, our family lost a dear friend to cancer who served in Iraq. Lieutenant Colonel Tracy Ann Linegar Taylor, United States Army retired, was only 50 when she died, leaving her husband and her 3 children. Another crushing blow, and another one gone too soon. Speaking personally, I found vital support, resources, and camaraderie as a veteran. But I believe we still have work to do, especially when it comes to reaching and supporting survivors and families in our local communities. Intentional outreach and clear communication could make a real difference. As a lifetime member of my post 1662, I felt what it means to be a part of this family. I've experienced how healing it can be to channel grief into service and spend time with other veterans in my community. Whether through the VFW or through my ongoing work as the Vice President of Gold Star Spouses of America, I connect men and women to the education and opportunities and financial assistance for healing and remembrance nationwide. Too often, surviving families remain unseen in our local communities, only recognized on days when their loved ones are formally honored. For many without meaningful ties to the veteran community, their grief continues in silence, and for some, their ability to endure and thrive is threatened. But together, we have the power to change that. Small acts of acknowledgement regularly, like including the words military surviving families in your communications, can open doors to the connection, healing, and lasting resources our families so desperately need. Brave men and women who served and gave their lives entrusted all of us with the duty to care for their loved ones, the families that were left behind. While they fought for peace and for democracy to thrive, their greatest hope was their family would be remembered and endure and be cared for. But remembrance without connection is only half the mission. Honor the fallen who have given their lives for their country, and their families who carry on their legacy as a reminder of what freedom truly costs. Thank you so much to the VFW for everything that we all do to honor our heroes and care for those left behind. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this event, to share our story, and for giving all of us space to grieve, to remember, and to heal. And to Brian, you are missed every day. You are loved always, and you are remembered with pride. Thank you.